Sounds good. All right, good evening, everyone. I have 1800 or 6 p.m. the posted time of the day's meeting, so call to order the meeting of the Cleveland County Board of Commissioners for February the 7th, 2023. Madam Clerk, do we have a quorum?
Yes, sir, we have a quorum.
All right, this time I'll recognize Commissioner Bridges. He's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and give tonight's invocation.
Stand. Attention, salute, pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for this beautiful day you've given us, Lord, and all the many blessings you've given to us, Father. And we thank you for the people around the world and the service that are keeping us safe today. Lord, thank you for the first responders, all the law enforcement, Lord. I just pray that you'd put your arms around them and protect them, Lord. And as we go in this meeting tonight, Father, I just pray we thank you for the opportunity to serve, and just pray that everything be said and done would be within your will. For we ask in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
If you just came in and have not signed in, come please see Deputy Howell.
Next item on the agenda is the recognition of any elected officials. Next item on the agenda is the recognition of any veterans that we have with us tonight. If you would, please stand and give your name and your branch of service. Doug, you gonna take it?
David Marshall, Air Force. Joe Briscoe, United States Marine Corps.
Dennis?
Dennis Greenwood, Air Force. Doug Martin. Harvey.
Okay.
Jess Steve, United States Air Force. Jason Paul, United States Air Force.
Okay, we have some pins. If you've never received one of our veterans pins, we'd like to give you a Cleveland County Veterans pin. If you'll step forward, if you've not received one in the past, we'd like to recognize you for your service.
Did I miss any veterans who does not have one? It's a Cleveland County emblem with a rocker on it that says veterans. Did I miss anybody?
All right, next item on the agenda is recognition of any law enforcement which was present.
Danny Howe, Cleveland County Sheriff's Office.
Joe Briscoe, Cleveland County Sheriff's Office.
Melanie Martin, Cleveland County Sheriff's Office.
Philip Todd, Cleveland County Sheriff's Office.
Thank you all. Thank you for your service. Next item is recognition of any county department heads.
Martha Thompson, legal.
Chris Martin, Planning.
Harry Melton, Assistant County Manager. Emily Evans, Public Tourism.
Jason Paul, Business Development Director.
Sam Norvik, Range Director. Allison Mooney, Human Resources. Katie Swanson, Social Services. Sherry Lavender, Tax Department.
Thank you all. Next item on the agenda is a motion to adopt the proposed agenda. Commissioners, you have before you the agenda for tonight's meeting. Are there any changes or proposed amendments to the agenda?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda. Is there any discussion or questions? All right, hearing none, all those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Next item on the agenda is citizen recognition. Madam Clerk, we had nobody to sign up, correct?
No, sir, nobody signed up.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. You smart off one more time, you're out of here. You didn't sign up for consent agenda, you weren't here on time. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Mr. Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tonight we have 10 items for your approval on the consent. The first item is the approval of the minutes from the January 13th, 2023 regular commissioners meeting. Item B, Tax Administration, order to advertise tax liens per North Carolina General Statute 105369. Uncollected taxes for the current year that are a lien on real property must be advertised in the newspaper having general circulation in the taxing unit. Upon receipt of the tax collector's report in February, the governing body must order the tax collector to advertise the tax liens. Item C, Tax Administration request for a refund waiver of discovery penalties. Taxpayer Brian and Stephen Baker, DDSPA, were audited by our third-party tax auditor, Tax Management Associates. During the audit, machinery and equipment were discovered that had not been listed for business personal property tax purposes. Upon receipt of the audit summary report from the auditor, the tax office sent a 30-day discovery letter with the results of the audit, giving the taxpayer 30 days to appeal. During the taxpayer appeal, they took exception to the assessment of the 10% penalty for each tax listing period that the equipment failed to be listed by the taxpayer. They asked for the penalties to be waived and be removed from the bill. Under North Carolina General Statute 105-312K, only the county commissioners are granted the ability to compromise or waive taxes resulting from a discovery bill. Staff's recommendation is to deny the request to waive the penalties in fairness to other taxpayers whose discovery bills were charged the penalty as required by North Carolina General Statute 105-312H. Item D, Emergency Management Budget Amendment. This is the budget allocation for $49,200 in funds received from Duke Energy to purchase supplies and equipment to enhance emergency operations. Item E, Budget Amendment for the Transportation Administration of Cleveland County. This is an allocation of $34,062 in additional funds received for fiscal year 23 for the Rural Operating Assistance Program from the state for the Transportation Administration of Cleveland County. These funds were received after the initial allocation for FY23 as additional funding became available in January. Item F, Sheriff's Office Budget Amendment. This is a budget allocation for $290,651 in grant monies awarded from the North Carolina Department of Public Safety to be used for Medicaid-assisted treatment in the detention center. This is going to be a 10-month program working with a consultant to provide assistance and resources for individuals struggling with opioid addiction. Item G, Sheriff's Office Budget Amendment. Budget allocation for $24,440 in grant monies awarded from the North Carolina Governor's Crime Convention to be used for the purchase of cameras and targets systems at the range, the Sheriff's Office range. Item 8, Sheriff's Office Budget Amendment. Budget allocation for $5,000 in funds received from the National Association of the Office for Victims of Crimes Association for the 2023 National Crime Victims' Rights Week that will be from April 23rd to April 29th this year. These funds will be used to promote and enhance community awareness. Item I, this is Legal Department Sale of County-Owned Property for parcel 70757. Cleveland County acquired parcel 70757 located on South Lafayette Street, Shelby, through tax foreclosure in 1985. The 2023 tax value for this property is $416 and has no residential structures on it. Bobby Hunt II has made an offer of $300. The upset bid process was conducted. This bid was the highest received and would place the property back on the tax rolls. Staff is requesting the board to approve the offer made on parcel 70757, authorize county staff to prepare a deed and complete the sale of this property. Item J, Legal Department, sale of county-owned property for parcel 7924. Cleveland County acquired parcel 7924 from foreclosure proceedings in 1994. This plot of land has no residential structures. The 2023 tax value is $160. Bobby Hunt II has made an offer of $200. This bid is the highest received and will place the property back on the tax rolls. Staff is requesting approval of the offer made on parcel 7924 and authorize county staff to advertise and open the upset bid process. Those are all the items.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Commissioners, you've been presented the consent agenda. Is there any discussion?
Hearing none, I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Do I have a motion to approve and a second for the consent agenda? Is there any question, any additional questions or discussion? I hear none. All those in favor will say aye. Aye. Any opposed will say no. Motion carries unanimous. Next item on the agenda is public hearings. I think we have a couple tonight. Madam Clerk?
After the public hearing has been opened, persons wishing to speak for or against the proposition will be asked to come forward and first state his or her name and address. All comments from the public are to be directed directly to the Board of Commissioners, not the audience. There should be no comments made to other members of the audience. If a speaker has a question, that question is to be directed to the board chair. No one will be allowed to speak at the hearing more than once unless the chair recognizes the speaker a second time for rebuttal of information brought forth after another speaker has spoken. The original presentation of any speaker will be limited to no more than 5 minutes. The rebuttal presentation of any speaker will be limited to no more than 3 minutes.
All right, first case for the night is case number 22-36. This is the request to rezone multiple parcels on 105 Charity Drive from rural agricultural to residential. At this time, I recognize Director Chris Martin for his presentation.
Thank you, Chairman Gordon. Good evening, Board. For this item, we have a request from a property owner to change the zoning of his property from rural agriculture to residential. First thing that I would like to do is really just give us a comparison of these two zoning districts. The current zoning district of rural ag requires a minimum of 3 acres per lot, while the requested district of residential requires a minimum of ½ acre per lot. And then I've also shown you a list of uses in both districts, and what you'll see is that in both districts you'll see that most any type of residential use is allowed, anything from a home to a manufactured home, site-built home, duplexes. You'll see that farming, horticulture, and forestry activities are allowed in both zoning districts. Social and civic activities such as churches, schools are allowed in both districts. But what you'll also find is that in the rural ag district, you'll find, in addition to those, you'll find a lot of commercial uses. So the rural ag district's it's really a flexible zoning district that allows a lot of different things. You just have to have a large lot of 3 acres. The petitioner's property that he's requesting change is about 100 acres, and it consists of 5 parcels that are broken up. They're adjoining parcels, and they're located along Charlotte Drive and Charity Drive, which is just south of Boston, North Carolina. And this Charlotte Drive is a road that connects Highway 18 and Boston-Waco Road. And you'll see that the surrounding area, we have it zoned as rural ag, and that's represented by the color green on the screen. The requested district of residential is represented by white. You'll find that along Highway 18 on the western side of Highway 18, which is not adjoining to this parcel. Our land use plan, these parcels really sit on the line of what we consider our growth, our secondary residential growth, and our rural residential areas. It's in that transition area. When we adopted the land use plan, it was thought that the Highway 18 area could see some growth. So these parcels kind of ride that line between that rural part and this secondary growth area. We presented this case to our planning board. They've heard a lot of comments from neighboring property owners. They recommended to deny the petition, and they commented that it could present a lot of incompatible uses to the area with the smaller lot sizes. And I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Chris. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Chris before we start the public hearing? No questions?
No question.
All right, so we're gonna do this a little different tonight, so make sure that you all understand before we open the public hearing, so we ask you to sign up if you're willing to speak on this or are interested in speaking, so I'll have the list, and I'm gonna call those names out, and then at the end, we'll take anybody else that may have changed their mind or did not have a chance to sign up. So at this time, we'll open the public hearing, so we're gonna open the public hearing for anyone who wants to speak for or against Planning Department Case 22-36. This is a request to rezone multiple parcels at 105 Charity Drive from rural agricultural to residential. And as I said, all calls. So the first one that said they were willing, or would like to speak is Mr. Kevin Martin.
And name and address, please.
Yeah, so I'm Kevin Martin, 118 Charlotte Drive, Lawndale, technically Falston. So first, just let me start by thanking y'all for representing Cleveland County. I appreciate your dedication towards the voters of the county. So, like I said, so my name is Kevin. I've lived in Cleveland County for 37 years on Charlotte Drive. So that's located in the outskirts of Falston. So the land I've lived on has been passed down through my family through 6 generations. So I come to you now to strongly oppose the request that has been made to change the land from rural agriculture to residential. This property is located on Charity Drive, which is a dead-end road located off of Charlotte Drive. The property is across from a private Christian school less than a half a mile from Falston Elementary School, the town of Falston, and the town of Falston. So the area is not really prepared for an influx of population that would come if the area is rezoned. The property is approximately 100 acres, but could allow up to 200 homes if passed. A rough estimate would be around 230 to 300 people. The town of Falston, the Burns District schools, and the area roadways are ill-prepared for the influx of families that would come with this rezoning. So, a couple of the questions I have is, has there been a study done on infrastructure of how a dramatic increase in population would do to the city of Falston? Furthermore, is the Falston Elementary School a school of 470 kids capable of accommodating more than the children from 200 additional families? What about Burns Middle School of 750 students, or Burns High School of 940 students? So our schools are already struggling with staffing issues for classrooms and bus routes. So also with more than 200 homes comes 230 to 300 more cars on our roadways. The rural roads are incapable of handling that kind of traffic. In fact, due to the overpopulation and traffic accidents, the Highway 18 speed limit was recently reduced from 55 to 45. Charlotte Drive is approximately 1 mile long road, and Charity Drive is not even a quarter mile that, of course, it dead ends. So my next question as well is, have we considered what 200 additional homes would do to the watershed? Specifically adding 200 septic tanks and the runoff into Buffalo Creek watershed and Long Shoals that eventually dumps into Moss Lake. I know we represent a small group compared to the Cleveland County population as a whole, but I would like to quote the community survey submitted by 731 people. Over 96% were over 30-year residents of Cleveland County. The survey was to gather guiding principles for the Cleveland County's comprehensive land plan. The comprehensive land use plan sets forth the blueprint for the future development of Cleveland County. This plan is the vision of the community and the steps needed to realize that vision. The vision of the community according to the survey, the favorite aspects of Cleveland County were small town living and rural lifestyle. When specifically asked about the things that were most important to the citizens, the highest scoring priority is preserving working farms and open space. This was followed by closely maintaining rural lifestyles in the county. This is the reason why the community had it rezoned to a 3-acre minimum. The minimum was to prevent overpopulation like this from occurring in the future. Rezoning this area would undoubtedly open Pandora's box, allowing other large tract owners to piggyback off the rezoning. Rezoning would financially benefit a couple of landowners, but would adversely affect the majority of the residents in the Upper Cleveland area. The decision you make tonight is a simple vote, but could potentially change the future of the Cleveland County and lead it into a direction of residential growth that is this rural community is not ready for. I urge you to agree with the zoning board's decision and deny the proposed rezoning. And I also have one further question as well, which is the spot zoning of those tracks, specifically the spot zoning of the track on Highway 18, right there across from Fernlight. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Next, we have Rick Martin.
I'm Rick Martin. I live at 114 Charlotte Drive. Have my entire life. Like my son said, Kevin is my son. We're on a family farm, and the other side of the Martin family is here represented tonight also. But we would just like to voice our opposition tonight to these commissioners. We're in a 3-acre zone. We would like to stay in a 3-acre zone. A family that saves their money and buys into this 3-acre zone to be secured from being in a development or somebody on top of them, that's why they buy in. So when you go in and you buy 3 acres, a 3-acre plot in this zoning, you're secure, supposedly. So our question is tonight, with the roads, Charity being 2 dead-end roads, Charity Drive and Charity Church Road, a school already down there, and it's gonna be hard for emergency services to get down there. Plus, we've always called Charity Drive Britton Village because the Brittons have lived there as long as I can remember. And it's the families, and we don't want to see it disrupted. So we're just asked tonight that you hear everybody's comments and think about the families that this is going to affect. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Mr. James Lee. Jimmy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm James Lee, 138 Charlotte Drive, Lawndale. I really can't add much more than what Kevin and Rick have already said, and they spoke so well. But I would like to reemphasize what would be my opinion of a spot zoning for these particular tracks. It's not in keeping with the area, and a lot of people here are opposed to that. Thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you. And I apologize for this next one because I cannot read your handwriting, so it's Dennis, is it? Sorry to say that about you, Dennis, but I can't, so I was gonna say Dennis Mike, but I don't know.
Dennis Milne,
Oh, okay.
203 Charlotte Drive. Thanks for your time. Real quick to follow up on Jimmy Lee and the esteemed speakers before me. 2 great concerns I have when I attended the Planning Commission meeting beforehand. One was the cluster homes was of great concern to me. Maybe I don't understand the vocabulary or the verbiage, but I understand that they can either be very well done or very poorly done. And I think that's part of a plan that we don't or haven't heard yet. The other thing is what the other gentlemen were speaking of, spot zoning. In order to make that work, I think that all members of the community, surrounding community, has to kind of agree on the spot zoning. And that's something we're seeing. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, sir. Next, we have Dennis Martin.
Thank you. My name's Dennis Martin. I live at 111 Charlotte Drive, and thanks for allowing me the chance to speak. I think it was December 7th, 2021, you adopted our county's comprehensive land use plan. Now, these 100 acres obviously are currently rural agriculture with 1 dwelling for 3 acres. In the future land use plan, most of these 100 acres are located in what's called the secondary growth area. And this area describes growth as low density with no more than 1 dwelling per acre in an area that retains its rural and agricultural character. If you say yes to this rezone request, you'd be going against what we read in this future land use plan. You'd be allowing this individual to put 2 dwellings per 1 acre, which could possibly add 200 new home sites to our community. And our community does not want to see this land rezone. We hope you will agree with the planning board's decision and say no to this request. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Next, we have Audrey Britton.
Thank you for allowing us to come tonight. And when we meet, we would just hope that you will listen to what we have to say, and we think you will. I live on 230 Charity Church Road that adjoins all of this together. We're like on the side, if this building gets, it'll be right beside of me and right behind me. And I've lived there 51 years. I've raised my family here. And I feel like it's always been a safe place to live. We have a quiet neighborhood. We have a church there. And we just hope you will just let us continue to live in a peaceful environment. And thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker is Chris Devine.
My name's Chris Devine. I live at 4025 Devine Road. My daughter lives on Foston Waco Road, right just across from where this is going to happen. I'm the pastor at New Prospect Baptist Church, and I would like to commend you people for praying before we had this meeting. Thank God for that. I respect you for that, and I thank you for letting all of us have the opportunity to speak. I'm an old farmer, farmed all my life. And I'm also a pastor. Lived in this area all my life. We fought them solar panels like a dog. Don't know what's going to happen there. And my daughter, she kind of got a little huffed at me last time at the planning board meeting, but she cried. She's cried to me. I forget how old you are, anyway. She's close to 40. But she's cried to me many, many times. I got 2 babies, grandbabies. I don't want to see them raise them solar panels, and I hope and I pray to the good Lord above that that don't happen. And if it's fixing to happen, I pray to the good Lord above you people put a stop to that. I've lived up there all my life. And like I say, I'm a farmer, and that's agriculture. It's zoned for agriculture use. Agriculture use. This one man, you look at this crowd here. Why would one man want to ruin, and I mean ruin, if this goes through, and if y'all let this happen, you will ruin our lives. My daughter worked and saved, bought 17 acres and put a nice home up there, and I done told her, I said, well, I reckon I'll have to make you room to come on down there on Devine Road and put you a house or something down there. And another thing you people maybe ain't thought about, and I don't know who will be in these houses, but you gotta stop and think. You put 200 homes there times 4, well, that's 800 people. I reckon Burns High School didn't teach me too much math, a little bit. But your crime rate will triple. It will triple. And we don't need this. We're good people. We know everybody that lives up there. And all I'm telling you is, the man looked at me at the solar panel meeting and stood right out there. And I'm going to tell you what he told me. He said, you mess with me, Devine, I'll put 300 trailers on that land up there. That was a threat that he threatened me with. And I'm just asking you to pray about this. We don't want this. We just a bunch of old farming country people that know everybody when they go up and down the road. And you know what, I tell you right now, I got a lot of stuff around my place, and I don't know, I'd have to put it all under lock and key, I'm afraid, if this happens. And I just want you, and I really appreciate you giving this old country boy a little bit of time to speak. Don't do this. I'm a begging you, and I'm a pleading with you. Don't let one man ruin Upper Cleveland County. Thank you both so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Devine. Next, we have Sandra Parkton, is that right?
Now, I'm Sonia Parton. I live at 235 Charity Church Road. And I have the greatest view in my backyard. It's the biggest plot of that land, and I've taken a sunset photograph every season since I got my camera in the 4th grade. It's beautiful. And I know this land use plan wants us to save that, and it's prime agriculture land, but I feel a little selfish though. I lived in a big city. I moved to Atlanta. I lived in a suburb of Charlotte, and there's just nothing like home here, what we have and what we're trying to preserve. Now I've grown up there all my life. I'm 52 years old. I bought a plot, a little piece when I was 18. And boy, I'm so proud of myself for that. But by the time I got up enough to put my home on that land, it had been rezoned. I had to, in order to abide by the law, I had to buy more land. Put my septic tank on there and move my home, build my home there. And it's at the end, my daddy gave up part of the land so the bus could come and get us. So we wouldn't have to go walk a half mile up to the stop sign, you know, and they eventually paved it. Thank you for that. But the turnaround is huge. The kids, you never have to think twice. You can hear them, the echo of them. You can holler. You might not see them, but you can holler. They're going to come running. If a car comes down the road, you know who it is. We all know who it is. We've described the make and model and what the driver looked like, how many people were in the car. Do you know them? What are they doing down our road? As a matter of fact, I stopped to text at the stop sign, because you don't text and drive, at the end of that dead-end road. I think it might have been Dennis. Come out there and said, "Is there a problem?" I was like, "No, I'm just texting. I don't want to text and drive." But I feel like none of us have that much property as he does. We've got enough to make us happy, and it's not crammed up like sardines against one another. None of us live that tight, and we would like to keep it that way. And thank you.
Thank you. Next is Robert Williams.
Robert Williams, 814 East Stagecoach Trail. I believe I know lots of these folks. And I also know the folks who are on the other side. But I would like to say a few things. First of all, I'd like to apologize for being late and not being able to sign up for citizen recognition in time. I'm sorry that I was not here. I think I had some things I would have liked to have said. But this is America. There is a right to, we have freedom of speech and the press. So whatever I was going to say tonight, you'll read sometime in the future. I did not appreciate being threatened quite so early in the meeting.
You need to talk on this public hearing, or you can leave.
I don't intend to leave, but I will talk about the public here. And I've been getting up to that.
You've been warned.
What?
You've been warned.
Well, thank you.
You can speak on the public hearing, or you can be excused.
I'm trying to.
Speak on the public hearing.
Yes, sir.
It's the last time I'm telling you.
Yes, sir. The public hearing is, I am not for or against, because no matter what I said, you would probably rule the other way. Thank you.
So we went through the list. Let me read the statement. So anyone wishing to speak for or against Planning Department Case 22-36, which is a request to rezone multiple parcels at 105 Charity Drive from rural agriculture to residential. Please come forward and state your name and address.
I'm Kelly Goforth. I live at 234 Charity Church Road. My kids are raised here. I'm raised here. I'm sorry that I'm having trouble talking, but there's so much anger over this. There'll be no safety for our family. You do not want this beside your family, your grandkids. You wouldn't want this. We work hard for what we got. This fella shouldn't be able to come in our community, our town, and ruin this place. I don't know why he's this way. I'm friends with his family, his nephews. They're good people. They don't know why he's doing this. They wouldn't want it beside their house. But out of respect for him, they didn't come here and say it. I treat this man like a neighbor. I put his cows up, never had to call him. He knowed I'd put his cows up. I fixed his fences, never called him. Anything went wrong, if the man had a calf on the ground or a coyote in the field, I took care of it. To do this would poison our town. It can't be allowed. I try to love everybody, and I try to treat them as my neighbor. We've had our differences, but we've still come together, talked about it, and got it to a head. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if he wants more money, if he wants to punish the farmers in the local area. And the map showed dark green here is rural agriculture, and light green over here, which is half my yard, as moving forward, not really agricultural. That's a lie. That land in the light green is more farmed than the solar panels in the dark green. That dark green is nothing but that crap. And that's all we got left in our area. It can't be. Remember, you wouldn't want it beside your grandkids. And I'm asking you not to put it beside my kids. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, last call. Is there anyone else wishing to speak for or against case 22-36?
Hello. My name is Lynn Williams. My husband, and I'm sorry, I had eye surgery yesterday, so I can't really see y'all too well. My husband and I actually do not live in Fallston, or we live in Kaiser. And, but the reason why I'm here is our business is about a quarter of a mile up from Charlotte Road. We actually have two businesses side by side on Fallston Waco Road. And we also own the house at the corner of Fallston Waco Road and East Stagecoach Trail. Our daughter lives there with her kids, and at this point already, we have people that turn around in their driveway constantly. They turn around in our businesses constantly, and that's just with the way it is right now. I don't really care. I mean, if people want to, pull in there to text or whatever, I'd rather them do that than drive. But with an influx of that many people, it will be a constant. We're already now having to put a chain across all of our properties. And I hate to do that. I really do, because we have police officers that pull in there. I don't really care. But it's to the point where it's all the time, and it's at night, and it's at 3 o'clock in the morning. And people go through, they're parked right in front of their house. I mean, just go right through their drive-through. they now have to put their car there and park it to where nobody can actually pull in. They have children. We're also afraid of that. There's been many wrecks right there at that corner, at that intersection right there as well. So the people that live in this area have to deal with this all the time. You know, we're dealing with it on an 8-hour basis, but, you know, we don't want it either. That's why we live in Kaiser, because we have 35 acres out there and we don't have to worry about. And I don't want to see this happen to these people, because they're very good people. They're neighborly. People come in our store all the time. They're good people. They sit down and just chat with you. And, you know, me being a business owner, you would think I would say, oh, heck yeah, 200 more families coming in. No, I like it just the way it is. I like having a rural business. That's the way I like it, and that's the way I think everybody else likes it. So I thank you so much for your time.
Ma'am, your name and address?
Ma'am,
Name and
name and
address.
address.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I did that. Lynn Williams, 101 Hall Road, Kaiser, North Carolina.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, my name is Courtney Dedman. I live at 168 Charlotte Road. I wasn't prepared at all to speak, but a little bit about me. I'm from Florida. I've lived there for like 23 years of my life. Concrete jungle, houses all next to each other. I come up here to take my son to a better environment, to be where he can see nature, can see the turkeys in the backyard, can see the deer, and I've fought for the road. Everybody on the road has been more of a family to me than my own family. They've given shirts off their back. I can send my son down the road to go play with the other kids, not worry about nothing. And I went for the past week to tell people about what's going on, how we can stop it. I have 217 signatures of people that do not.
Thank you.
That are not for this. I would walk my dogs in the morning. I would say, please, can you look at the petition? Can you look at what the county commissioners are going to say? I appreciate every one of y'all's time. And please, if you would, just think about the kids on our street, the summers that they spend going up and down the road to each and every one's house, the countless families. I have neighbors that will look after my house and if I go on a camping trip. I had a neighbor the past time who came to my house and said, you left your door open while you were in Pennsylvania. I don't know. They're just amazing. I get bread. My son gets birthday cards. Just little simple things you could never ask for better neighbors. But thank you so much for your time.
Dennis, did you have your hand up?
Thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm Dennis Bingham. I live at 111 Ross Drive in Falston. These folks here are all trying to be nice about this situation that they're in. The fact of the matter, this thing started years and years ago with Barker. And that's when it went from residential to RA3. Well, these folks wanted RA3 then. They don't want residential now. They don't want somebody from California coming out here and telling them what to do with their property. That's what it amounts to. Kevin knows I'm not afraid to make people mad. I love everybody out here, but I'm gonna tell you what, this is a bad deal all the way around. There's nothing good about it. Nothing. Well, unless you're the guy in California that owns Formosa. Other than that, that's all you could say. Y'all have a wonderful day. I appreciate y'all letting me speak.
Thank you, Dennis. Is there anyone else wanting to speak for or against?
I'm Mark Stowe, 4423 Mountain View Drive, Hopeville, North Carolina. I didn't come prepared to speak this evening, but for my entire life, I have enjoyed the quality of life that Upper Cleveland uniquely presents. And I've raised a daughter up there, and I hear the impassioned speeches from the folks here tonight, and I would say that no decision to change that quality of life should be entered into lightly, particularly for the gain of one individual. So I would plead that you do not change the zoning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I saw Brian Beatty and then some lady in the back, and Mr. Devon. Whoever wants to go first.
I'll be short and sweet. I'm Brandy Beaver. I live on 4302 Fallston Road. I can speak for, I don't even know what the word is. I'm not very good at talking in front of people, but I live 2 houses down from a property that the guy who was wanting to rezone this had. My family tried to purchase the land at a fair value. He told us no, and then sold it. It's not a good property. I don't want my child playing where I can't see her because of it's a drug house. Everybody knows it's a drug house. I have a 15-year-old niece that lives right beside this property. I don't like her being home by herself. She's 15. A 15-year-old should not have to worry about being home alone. All I'm saying is, I know firsthand what will happen to this land if it is rezoned for this purpose. So just don't change it for one person. Just don't. But thank you, guys.
Mr. Okay, Brian.
Brian Beatty, 132 Charlotte Drive. Like I say, I wasn't expecting to speak tonight either, but as I'm sitting here listening to some things, it's kind of got me thinking about, as far as talking about the infrastructure down there, as far as the roadways off of Charity Drive where these parcels will be. Mr. Chair, you've been down there many a times on fire calls. Makes me go back to think about one serious incident where just certain individuals that's looking to do this parcel had a hay barn, one of his hay barns caught on fire. And it caused, and I happened to be one of the first ones there, suffered a serious concussion from part of the barn falling on me. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, because that area down there where these connectors would need to go as far as connected in this neighborhood, if this was to go through to allow for, it's a very tight space at the end of this road that would connect into these parcels. And so one thing I do, what little bit I remember from having a concussion that day, is literally to get the ambulance, I had to be taken out by an ambulance. And to be able to get the ambulance in there to get to me, every fire truck was backed up. There was no room except for a single file line. So in order to get the ambulance to me, we had to make a big maneuver just to get me out of there. So these are just some of the kind of infrastructure things that, I wasn't even planning on talking about that, but it just made me start thinking about it because there's going to have to be a lot of road built. So like I say, I'm with Fallston Fire Department. There's going to have to be a lot of stuff built to be able just to make access to this area if this was to go through. Thank you.
Mr. Elmore.
Andy Elmore, 810 East Stagecoach Trail in Fallston. Speaker Moore, Commissioners, Madam Clerk, all points that tonight for you, the Commission Board, to deny this request have already been presented. And I would sincerely ask you on myself to deny this request to protect the integrity and the character of our rural farming community in and around Fallston. And strictly in a livestock analogy, once you open the gate and they start going through there, it sure is hard to get the gate closed back. And so I would ask you to deny the request. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none, we're going to close the public hearing. At this time, Commissioners, do you have any questions or discussion? Do you have any questions for Chris? or do you have all the information that you need?
I would say I have all that I need. I don't know about you guys, but from what I've heard, I would, and from visiting up there on many occasions, it's very incompatible with the area, and I do believe it would destroy the rural agricultural character of the place. I would be glad to make a motion to deny unless the other ones have something they would like to discuss.
Motion's closed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I speak for all the commissioners here, but we may not have answered all your emails and all your texts and even letters, but we read them. We listen to you. So, and for that reason, I will second the motion.
Have a motion, second, is there any other discussion?
I just agree that, you know, we always talk about spot zoning. I believe it's spot zoning. I believe it's incompatible with what's already there, so I'm just agreeing.
Yeah, I would agree as well. I think there's been plenty of reasons not to approve this and deny this, and I don't think the commissioners is looking, I don't think any of the commissioners are looking for a reason to approve it. So with that, all those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed will say no. All right, motion carries unanimous. Next item on the agenda is Planning Department 23-01. This is a request to rezone parcel 59-918. This is at 863 Stony Point Road from general business conditional use to residential. Mr. Martin?
Okay, so our next item is also a request to change the zoning district of a parcel from a property owner, and he's asking to change the district from general business conditional use to residential. It's a single parcel. It's a couple acres located along Stony Point Road, just south of the New Camp Creek Church Road intersection going down the hill towards the creek. And he asked the board, and it was approved a couple years ago, to change it to general business for the use of a RV park, or excuse me, an RV recreational vehicle and trailer storage facility. Due to topography and floodplain on the property owner has determined that the best use of the property is residential, so he's asking the board to rezone it back to residential. And here's a map showing that parcel. It's outlined in red. So if approved, it would basically change the color to white to match the parcels around it that are already zoned residential. Land use plan calls the area future primary growth. And that's really a wide range of uses and can handle anything from a single-family dwelling to intense uses. We've presented this to planning board, and they voted unanimously to approve, 6-0. This one also requires public hearing, and I can answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Board, do you have any questions for Chris on this one? All right, here no questions. We'll open the public hearing, and this is let me get squared away here. So this is a request to rezone a piece of property, parcel 59-918, that's 863 Stony Point Road, from general business conditional use to residential. So anyone wishing to speak for or against this planning case 23-01, please come forward and state your name and address. Greg.
My name is Greg Randall. I live at 907 Stony Point Road, which is right across the creek from this property. Kings Mountain Postal Service is horrible. I didn't get the letter to go to the planning board. I just had some questions after listening to this last thing. I don't want that next to me. So is that a potential? If he comes in and wants to build cracker box houses like you see popping up, is that gonna have to be rezoned to take that into account? Or is that something that's gonna fall into this residential zoning?
We'll get that asked in a second.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against this case? Okay. What, do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, that is not what happened. Well, I just kinda want to make sure they're popping up everywhere.
So with that, Chris, can you speak to that?
In the requested district of residential, the minimum lot size half acre. This particular parcel is a couple acres, so theoretically, there is room mathematically to create multiple lots for multiple homes. This particular parcel does have some hurdles due to topography and the floodplain. I think realistically, you could get a couple homes possibly on this parcel. Not sure what the petitioner's intent is, but he has stated one residence.
And we are just changing it back to what it was originally,
You,
correct?
you would be. This
Yes.
was originally the residential district, and that's what he's asking the board to change it to tonight.
Did that help? All right, anyone else wishing to come forward to speak for or against case 23-01? And this is to rezone parcel 59-918 at 863 Stony Point Road from general business, traditional use to residential. All right, seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments before we take action?
Planning board was unanimous in, approving this, correct?
Yes, sir. Planning board voted 6-0 to recommend approval.
If there's no more discussion, I would just, make the motion that we approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. Are there any other questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed will say no. All right, next case is planning case 23-02. This is a request to rezone parcels 10490 and 10462. These are located at 708 South Battleground Road from light industry to residential conditional use for a multi-use residential development. Chris?
So your next item is also a request to rezone from a developer who's interested in acquiring the property from the county. It's located along South Battleground Avenue between Kings Mountain and Grover. Consists of two parcels, about 60 acres in total. Current district is light industrial, as I stated. The requested district being residential with a conditional use with the intentions of developing the property for three things, really. A nursing facility, 96 townhomes, and 11 apartment buildings that would consist of about 260 units within the apartments. And so you have that site plan in front of you, and you can see how the property would be laid out. This parcel lies, as I said, between Grover and Kings Mountain along Battleground Avenue, which is Highway 29. You have Interstate 85 to the south that adjoins the property. And then to the east, you'll have Unique Tex, which is an industry. They own all the property to the east. And then to the, to the west towards Grover, and then back to the east towards Kings Mountain. You've got two parcels. One is Eden Corporation, and then the other parcel is also owned by the petitioner, the Moser Group, and it is, there's a proposal for residential apartment complex on that parcel as well. And so on this site plan, what you're seeing is the nursing facility to the north of the parcel. And then in the middle, you'll find the townhomes. And then to the south towards 85, you'll see where the apartments would be placed. And this parcel, as I said, would connect to the property that the developer already owns. And
Is that the one in white?
it is the one in white. And it would, if approved, it would provide another access point for both parcels, really. There would be 2 access points on to Highway 29, and then there would be an access point along Battleground Road, which connects 29 and 85.
So is that white behind Eaton?
That white is behind Eaton.
That's what I
Yes,
thought,
sir.
okay.
Land use plan in this area, we identify this area as our primary growth area. You'll find a lot of infrastructure, gas, water, sewer, 4-lane highways, rail in this area. And that's the type of things that you need to support high-intense uses. And what they're proposing, I would consider a high-intensity use of land. So this proposal would be consistent with the land use plan. We have presented this to the planning board, and after review, they recommend approval, 6-0. And they stated that it would be consistent with the land use plan and the intense uses of this area. The petitioner is here tonight, and they also have a presentation, short presentation to show you that would give some more detail about that site plan and the uses of the property.
Okay, if you're done, we'll take that now.
Yes, turn it over.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. My name is Tom Crouch. I work with the Moser Group. We're the ones rezoning this property. Just want to give you a little background on it and a little bit of facts on why we're going through this rezoning. As you can see, as Chris pointed out, this is 60 acres, kind of nestled between South Battleground Road and I-85. Currently, the property is zoned industrial, and so when we originally put this property in the contract, we went through a lot of steps to try and make industrial work there. Unfortunately, as you can see, these lines here, the topo lines, and then right here are some laid out of industrial buildings that we have to put on there. And the red is the area where we hit rocks. You wouldn't be able to grade out flat enough to make an industrial building work there. It's really not feasible for industrial. So that's how we came up with our plan for residential. With residential, we have a lot of common open space, and we can kind of work with the topography with our residential buildings. Also, one of the other problems we're into is the streams are on either side, so you can't build anything, you can't dig anything near those areas. So they have to remain undisturbed for the most part. So that's why, again, we came back to residential. And then the piece next door that we own, when we started going through our due diligence and looking at doing apartments there, we realized we'd have to have another entrance to serve that for fire safety and everything. And so, in realizing we had to have another entrance, we went ahead and looked at the next site next door to have kind of dual access so that there'd be enough safety roads and everything for the fire and police and everyone to get in there. I'm here with the assisted living or assisted care facility folks, and I have a couple pictures that they can show you of what that might look like, and they can answer any questions specific to this, to the assisted care. Here are just a few of their images from some of their facilities that you can see. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Did you say you had someone else wanted to speak?
They're here to answer any questions.
Okay.
They're with the assisted living.
Okay. Is it Peak?
Yes, sir.
Board members, do you have any questions of the assisted living, Moser or Chris?
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir. So at this time, we'll open the public hearing. So anyone wishing to speak for or against plan case 23-02, this is a request to rezone parcels 10490 and 10462 at 708 South Battleground Road from light industry to residential traditional use for a multi-use residential development. Please come forward and state your name and address.
Robert Williams, 814 East Stagecoach Trail, Fallston. The address is in Lawndale. Usually, when the planning board votes unanimously, I would say, you know, that, hey, it's a good idea, go ahead and do it. In this case, I don't think so. And the reason, I've got lots of reasons. One, this is county property, and I'm wondering just why, in reality, the county's asking for the county to rezone their own property and then sell it. It appears to me. That's got too many issues that I would say I smell a rat or a potential rat. I don't know these folks. I'm assuming, and I understand why they would want to have a second entrance. But I also understand that you've got some of our oldest and basic industries on both sides. Polygram, I don't know whatever happened to them. Eaton is still going strong, I understand. And this is right between. So it looks almost like a spot zoning from the front. And that's the only way you can access this property from the front, because behind you've got Interstate 85 coming along through there. I went through every document that was provided on the agenda and looked at this. And I did that earlier when this was talked. It was obvious that the person next door, I didn't know until tonight that the person that owns that other residential property on the backside of Eaton, I could look at the map and see, hey, they want to go into there, but I didn't know for a fact that they actually own that property too. That they don't own this property. The county still owns it. What's going on here? Is the economic development folks on board with this? We got water and sewer. We need jobs in Cleveland County too. And we've got all kind of building permits, I understand. 3,000, 3,500 or more in this area. So I don't know why we're wanting to do anything with this except try to recruit more industry and put it right there. We need good paying jobs in Cleveland County too. So, and I don't see anybody from economic development folks here making a recommendation. So my feeling is we need economic development, we need industry, and this is a place that's set up for industry. It is zoned now for industry. It's got water and sewer and everything you need for industry. And it's just, what is the best interest for this property that's owned by Cleveland County? Is it for jobs, or is it for somebody to make a profit on? I don't know. I don't know all the dealings, and there's too many questions for me to wrap my head around it and say, why would the county want to do this? And I think there's been zero explanation. Why does the county want to do this with their property? So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak for or against this case? All right, seeing no one, the public hearing is now closed. Commissioners, do you have questions?
As I understand it, we have looked at it as far as maybe industry, and the land's just not suited for that because of all this bedrock underneath. Is that correct, Chris? So it seems that the best use would be residential, and I'm sure we can use these retirement beds and the retirement community, it seems to be. And the planning board was unanimous, so if there's no more discussion, I would like to make the motion that we accept.
With this property where it is, there's other residential properties across the street, across Battleground Avenue and in this area, and I'm sure these people that are in these plants want people close by that can get to work easily, especially in some of our winter storms. But with the topo of it and doing a little bit of developing in my past, I know that trying to get a big flat footprint for an industrial plant is really, really challenging when you have the topo that's as rough as this one is. But with housing, you can step them at different levels. So for those reasons, I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the request. Is there any other discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed will say no. All right, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is board appointments. Madam Clerk, the first one is Foothills Development Workforce Board.
Yes, Board, you have the list of applicants in front of you. At this time, you'll need to appoint one person for a 3-year term set to expire December 31st, 2026. The applicants listed have been vetted and recommended by the Foothills Regional Workforce Board and their staff, and we have not received any new applications.
All right, Board, what's your pleasure?
I'd like to make a recommendation of Tim Blackwell.
Second.
Motion and second for Mr. Tim Blackwell. Any questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed will say no. All right, Mr. Blackwell's appointed. Next board appointment is the Shooting Range Advisory Board.
Yes, sir. At this time, you will need to appoint one person for a 3-year term set to expire June 30th, 2025. Those on the list have been vetted and recommended by our shooting range director and her staff.
I'd like to nominate Paul Ledford.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to nominate Mr. Paul Ledford. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed will say no. All right, Mr. Ledford is appointed. Next item on the agenda is a closed session. Mr. Bridges?
I'd like to make the motion that we enter a closed session per North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11A, 5, and A6 to consider a personnel matter and establish the terms of an employment contract.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, we're in closed session. All right, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to go back in open session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, during the closed session, we talked about a personnel matter, employment contract, and took no action. So with that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Next meeting of the Cleveland County Board of Commissioners will be March 21st, 2023. Yeah, oh, I'm sorry about that. So let me say this first. Vote on. Yeah, well, I missed this part. The next meeting of the Cleveland County Board of Commissioners will be held here on Tuesday, March 21st, 2023. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Now, all those in favor will say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?